Okay, I have almost the same talk as the previous speaker, so I want to go fast on CREST study. So, surgery was established as the gold standard, and in US until 2010, angioplasty was only approved for high-risk patients. But now we have new indication for angioplasty based on important new data, randomized study and registry. But whatever the technique, the acceptable morbidity and mortality is, less than 6% for symptomatic patients, less than 3% for asymptomatic patients. We have different studies, and you have to compare and to separate European and American studies. It's totally different. So Dr. Gupta analyzed this European study. So you saw that only in space study you have equivalence between angioplasty and surgery, but a lot of difference in AV3 and ICCS study. But all these European studies have a lot of limitation. High failure rate of angioplasty, emerging conversion is difficult to understand that. Too many low volume centers, incomplete antiplatelet medication, embolic protection was not mandatory, inaccurate analysis, for example, myocardial infarction was not considered as an endpoint in EVS3S and SPACE study, so it was in favor of surgery. And also, as showed by Dr. Gupta, inexperienced operator, inappropriate patient selection, patients were exposed to a twofold increased risk, and none of the European study fulfills the criterion of good medical practice. We have American study with randomized study registry for high-risk patients, randomized study comparing surgery and angioplasty. You know this SAPPHIRE trial published, reported by YADAF, and showing that we have two we have 2 times more neurological complication after surgery than angioplasty. So with this study, angioplasty is better than surgery, and you can see the long-term follow-up at 1 year and 4 years. So you can say that maybe angioplasty is better than surgery. But we have also for high-risk patients non-randomized registry, and you have a lot of registries published since 2002 until 2010, and you can see a decrease in the neurological complication rate. So with experience, we can improve the result with carotid angioplasty. And maybe last result with the FiberNet published in 2008, you can see a complication rate which very low, 3%, with the fluoroversal Gore system less than 3%, with Amboshil less than 2%, and with MoMA less than 3%. So very good result in all this registry. So now we have randomized study comparing angioplasty and surgery. CREST study was very well reported by Dr. Gupta, so I want to go very fast and with this study, just to remind you, then we have much more minor stroke after angioplasty than after surgery, but much more myocardial infarction after surgery than angioplasty. So in conclusion, angioplasty is non-inferior to surgery for peri-procedural death, stroke, myocardial infarction. But the fact that the excess risk of stroke in angioplasty was mainly due to minor stroke is significant, because any disability related to minor stroke typically goes away within 7 days. Heart attack, on the other hand, carry a late consequence than stroke don't, increasing the risk of dying in 2 to 3 years by about 4-fold. So you saw this slide and this slide, and you can see that at 6 months follow-up, we don't have any difference between angioplasty and surgery in terms of neurological complication, and we have a similar freedom from event at 4 years follow-up. So long-term results are equivalent if you compare surgery and angioplasty, but also in favor of CAS are procedure-related cranial nerve injury, access site complication, much more frequent after surgery than angioplasty. So we have to consider that. Problem of elderly patient. Maybe it's a big problem also to consider. And after, with the CREST study, we can say that maybe surgery is better for elderly patients than angioplasty, and angioplasty is better for younger people. So maybe that's the message given by CREST. But in fact, a sub-analysis of CREST shows that although older patients have worse outcome, the increase in complication is similar for angioplasty and surgery. And if you look at the primary composite one-year endpoint by symptomatic or octogenarian status, you see no difference for octogenarian and elderly patients. And if you look at the complication, neurological complication rate over time, you can see that after 2006, there is no neurological complication in octogenarian. So experience is very, very important. So you can do angioplasty, you can perform angioplasty in octogenarian without any problem. And if you look at the literature, you can see that in all these published series, the complication rate is similar in octogenarian and younger patients. So you can do angioplasty in octogenarian. And in our series of now more than 1,200 procedures, you can see that the complication rate in octogenarian and younger patients are similar. So we can do that. What are the implications for clinical practice? Considering the last registry and the CREST study, angioplasty and surgery are equivalent. Angioplasty is indicated for patients younger than 70 years, but surgery could be indicated for elderly patients. But in high-volume center with experienced operator, angioplasty seems at least not inferior to surgery and can be proposed to elderly patients. So angioplasty can be proposed to the majority of patients suffering from carotid stenosis. And FDA recently approved expanded use of angioplasty with acrylic stenting system to patients at standard risk for adverse events from carotid surgery. Previously, angioplasty was indicated only for patients at high surgical risk. So indication for angioplasty, we have symptomatic patient with a carotid stenosis greater than 50% or asymptomatic patient with a carotid stenosis greater than 60% by angiography or 70% by duplex. This large population represents about 2/3 of all carotid patients. But problem, how to reduce the risk and improve the result? You must have good indication, patient lesion selection, that's a key factor in carotid revascularization. You know there are limitations for surgery, but we have also limitations for angioplasty. We cannot stent everyone. So indication, you know, degree of stenosis for asymptomatic patient is not enough. Professor Buckley gave a very interesting talk this morning, so I don't want to insist on this indication for asymptomatic patient, but you know that degree of stenosis is not enough, and you have to add ultrasonic plaque morphology, patient with vulnerable plaque, with IVUS, it may be indication, patient with silent brain infarct, patient with impaired cerebral reserve, deteriorated brain function, patient with brain perfusion deficit, at CT scan, MRI perfusion, patient with asymptomatic embolization in median cerebral artery by transcranial Doppler. So you have to add all these criteria to define exactly which asymptomatic patient you have to treat, but not all asymptomatic patients. And as Professor Bouclet told you, the medical treatment alone is very important, and maybe is sufficient enough for the majority of asymptomatic patients. That means antiplatelet therapy, antihypertensive diabetes therapy, lipid-lowering therapy, and also avoid tobacco. And Spence reported this study with a very good medical therapy. Maybe at least 95% of asymptomatic patients should only be treated medically. So maybe now we have to see that before treating this asymptomatic patient. So we have medical limitation, anatomical limitation also for carotid stenting. Medical risk, patient with high cardiac risk, patient with neurological risk, crescendo TIA, stroke in evolution, contralateral ischemic symptoms, symptomatic patient. These patients are at high risk for carotid angioplasty, but for surgery too. Patient with renal insufficiency also, diabetics, octogenarian, patient with poor cerebral reserve. All these patients are at high risk, and you need experience if you want to treat this coronary patient or neurological patient. We have anatomical limitation also with diffuse disease, tortuous arch, heavy circumferential calcification, mobile thrombus if you don't have reversal flow, string side total occlusion. All these patients maybe you have to avoid them or treat with cautious. Poor landing zone for embolic protection device, type 3 aortic arch, that's high risk. And if you have very atheromatous plaque in the aorta, try not to manipulate too much your catheter, your device in the aorta, because you can detach plaque and embolize. So you have high risk in some patients. You must know that 40% of stroke may be related to access site. So it's important to avoid this patient. Correct technique, it's a coronary technique. You have to select the approach way, femoral approach most of the time, but in difficult anatomy, you have to select other approach way, brachial, radial. Direct puncture is a good way also for bovine arch, type 3 arch, and for very atheromatous arch. Surgery could be the best option if you are not experienced. Direct carotid access by mini surgical incision also, or proximal embolic protection combined with direct carotid access. That's the new MITCHI neuroprotection system. Brain protection, which device you have to select. You know that with brain protection you have less neurological complication rate. So you have to use, in any case, a protection device. You have to select distal proximal protection. Occlusion balloon is not common now. Filters most often used. But if you use MoMA, you have less cerebral ischemic lesion. But in fact, if you look at the complication rate, in this meta-analysis, in Armour study, Empire study with MoMA or GAUSS, you can see that the complication rate is exactly the same as with the filter. So it's difficult to say that this reversal flow are better. There are indications. For me, not all patients, just few indications. So good choice of the stent also, correct implantation. You have to choose between closed cell stent or open cell stent. Closed cell stent, we have less embolic event, but open cell is more flexible, and use that in tortuous artery. Choose the stent depending on the arterial anatomy and the lesion characteristic. Maybe new stent with nitinol membranous cover stent, but also what is important is to do a meticulous cleaning of the dilated area with aspiration catheter or maybe the new FiberNet filters. And also, it's important, the learning curve experience, and you saw in a CREST study with experience, the complication rate is less. Also with AcuLink, AcuNet, all these studies show less complication rates, less complication with experience. So to conclude, with CREST study, we have enough reported data to say that carotid angioplasty under protection is safe and efficient procedure, equivalent to surgery, but we need good indication, experienced operator, indication were accepted for high-risk patients, but are now enlarged to patients at standard risk. Younger patients are the best indication for CREST, but elderly patients can also be treated with experienced operator. Indication for asymptomatic patients remains a problem, and we have to discuss that. Thank you for your attention.